share my research to you is about the effect of biochar on losses of dissolved organic carbon and some nutrients through leaching in the tropical sandy loam soil. I'm Jane from Taiwan. Okay, for the contents, firstly, I would like to introduce why we use the biochar in slopeland in Taiwan, my country. Second, I want to introduce the soil we used and the biochar we used. We used the two biochars. It's about low temperature biochar and the high temperature biochar in my study. And finally, I will talk about the effect of biochar addition on soil properties and the leaching of the DOC and the nitrogen, phosphorus, and the potassium. I just downloaded some photos from FAO to talk about serious soil degradation in the world. You can check it, including the soil acidification and soil nutrient imbalance and soil organic carbon losses. So in case you cannot find the location I talk about, so I just point my country here, Taiwan. It's very small. And now we are in Seoul, and Taiwan is here. Sorry, here. Okay. Because we are located in the subtropical and the tropical area, so we got a very high annual rainfall per year, about 2,300 millimeters, and a very high annual temperature, about 30 degrees. So now you feel cold in Korea, but we are very hot in Taiwan now. Every year we have no summer, but we have no winter. We just only have summer. Okay. We about 90% rainfall precipitation falls during the rainy season, May to September. So also in Taiwan, about 73% area was the slopeland, and most of slopeland was overused by crop production, just like this, over the 75% slopeland used for crop production. So that's why we want to use the biochar to control the soil degradation, the poor soil quality. So in this study, we want to determine the effect of biochar on nutrient leaching and retention in the tropical slopeland sandy loam soil in Taiwan, and to assess the retention mechanism of the nutrients, including the DOC, nitrogen, phosphorus, and the potassium in soil with biochar incorporation. Okay, let's take a look at the soil I choose. I choose the sandy soil. You can find that the sand percentage is very high, and the organic carbon is also very low, and it's a very unfertile soil, low in organic nitrogen, low phosphorus, but a little slightly high of the potassium. And the biochar we use is two kinds of biochar: a low temperature biochar and the high temperature biochar. The low temperature mean 300 degree, and the high temperature biochar mean 600 over than 600 degree. We also use the SEM to check the surface properties, just like this. You can check. It's the low temperature biochar, it's a high temperature biochar. Okay. We can also check a look for the properties of the biochar and the functional group of the biochar by NMR. So you can find the pH is also high, particularly for the high temperature biochar, and the organic nitrogen is also very high, especially for the nitrogen, and the potassium is also high, but the phosphorus is very low for two biochars. And you can find the low temperature biochar is dominated for the alkyl carbon, but the high temperature biochar is dominated by the aromatic carbon. So we have we designed a column, just like leaching column. You can find we just fill the soil about 15 centimeters in this column, and we use two application rates, 0 and 2% of biochar, and the two kinds of biochar, low temperature and high temperature. All treatments we add the same content of the chemical fertilizer, just like this, and we have an incubation time about 42 days, and we add the 700 milliliter of DI water for each day, and collect the leach egg for these days. So for the results, we have two parts. We analyze the biochar amended soil after incubation, and we also analyze the leach eggs after incubation. For the soil, we just determine the pH, soil organic carbon in organic nitrogen, available phosphorus and potassium to check the residual fertility and the effects of the biochar addition on soil fertility. For the leach egg, we also determine the leach egg volume and the DOC, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, because we want to check the retention of the water and the nutrients in the biochar amended soil. Okay, just take a look at the soil part. For the pH, we can find the soil pH also decreased after incubation, but the treatment of the biochar addition, you can find the high pH of the biochar amended soil for the two kinds of biochar treatment. It means biochar maybe it's a good pH buffer in the soil. For the bulk density, you can find, but there's no significant difference among these treatments, but slightly lower for the high temperature biochar, slightly lower. Okay, for the soil organic carbon, you can find after before the incubation and after incubation, the low temperature biochar is much higher than other treatments. It means low temperature biochar maybe can increase the soil organic carbon more effectively. Okay, for the ammonium nitrogen after leaching, you can find for the biochar amended soil, they can increase about 100% ammonium nitrogen for these treatments. But there's no difference between two kinds of biochar. For the nitrogen also, just like the ammonium nitrogen, the biochar amended soil, you can find very high nitrogen in this treatment. Okay, for the available phosphorus also, or you can find if you use the biochar in the soil, they can increase the 25 to 31% of the available phosphorus after incubation, after leaching. Okay, so just take a look for the leachate. We also collect the leachate volume after incubation because we want to check the water retention capacity. You can find the high temperature biochar amended soil. The leachate volume is much less than other two treatments. This means if you use the biochar in the soil, you can retain the water more effectively, particularly for the high temperature biochar. It means if you use the high temperature biochar, you can retain the water more rated. You can retain more water in the soil, and about 9 to 14% in the biochar amended soil. Okay, for the dissolved organic carbon, you can find the result. There's less DOC in the leachate. It also means if you use the biochar in the soil, biochar can retain the DOC in the soil, particularly in the high temperature biochar. High temperature biochar is much better than low temperature biochar to retain the DOC in the soil, about 20%. Okay. For the ammonium nitrogen, you can find it's different from the DOC. You can find the low temperature biochar is better to retain the ammonium nitrogen in the soil. About the 31%, and the high temperature biochar is about 11%. So the low temperature biochar is better to retain the cation ammonium nitrogen in the soil than high temperature biochar. So for the nitrogen, you can find, but we have no any difference between two biochars, but also you can find if you use the biochar in the soil, the nitrogen also can retain in the soil, in the sandy soil, as compared to the control. Okay. Okay, it's the same situation for the potassium, just like the ammonium nitrogen, because it's the cation. Okay, the low temperature biochar is better than high temperature biochar. But the interesting thing is, you can find interesting things is found in phosphorus, because phosphorus is negative, it's an anion. From my result, we found the high temperature biochar is much better to retain the anion than low temperature biochar. Just contrast the result for the ammonium, nitrogen, and the potassium. So if you want to retain the phosphorus in the soil, maybe you should to use the low temperature biochar, just like the result. Okay, you can find high temperature biochar is better to retain an ion in the soil, just than low temperature biochar. Okay. So we estimate the CEC for the two biochars. You can find the low temperature biochar got higher CEC than high temperature biochar. It means low temperature biochar it's better, might be favorable to retain ion with positive charge cations. Okay, just corresponding with my result. So for the leaching, but I want to evaluate the some pathway for the nutrient loss, including the runoff, including the leaching, including the soil erosion. So I designed another experiment just like this. We use the rainfall simulator to do this experiment. We have a slope gradient about 10 degrees, and the rainfall intensity you fix the rainfall intensity in 50 millimeters per hour, and 2 hours rainfall to collect the runoff, to collect the leachate, to collect the soil erosion amount. So we can, So for the pathways of the nutrient losses, just like in inorganic nitrogen, you can find the if you use the biochar in the soil, we can reduce the runoff losses and reduce the leaching losses for the inorganic nitrogen, just from our experimental results. For the phosphorus, if you use the biochar into the soil, you can reduce the runoff, but you will find the leaching losses is increasing for the phosphorus. That means if you use biochar in the slope land, maybe you got the potential pollution for the phosphorus throughout the leaching, because the leaching pathways increase. Also for the potassium, you can find the runoff pathways decrease, and the leaching pathways also decrease for the exchangeable potassium. Okay, that's my conclusion. So both biochars were able to increase the retention capacity, including the organic carbon, inorganic nitrogen, and the available phosphorus, to reduce the leaching of the water and DOC and inorganic nitrogen, available phosphorus, and exchangeable potassium. So it means biochar can effectively to retain the fertility in the slope land soils in tropical or subtropical climates. Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to
Thank you for your presentation. Happy to take a few questions. We have a few minutes actually. Yeah, that's a good question. So you pointed out on your analysis that the char is generally a negative surface.
Yes.
Have you given any thoughts to modifying the chars to give them a positive surface chemistry so they'll interact more strongly with negative ion species?
Yeah. It's very difficult to analyze AEC. Yeah, it's much difficult to estimate the AEC than CEC. So that's my continuing work. I will to check the AEC later.
So we, for example, we've made chars which are iron enriched. So having iron incorporated into the char gives some positive surface charge. So maybe an opportunity here as well. Questions?
One is application rate of the biochar. I didn't catch that. The other is question is application rate of the fertilizers. For example, the ammonium sulfate and the phosphorus.
Yes.
In totally nitrogen and the phosphorus or P2O5. That's the question. And does this have related to your result?
You mean the P2O5 is
And the quantity, the action rate have association with the final result, the conclusion you get.
Okay, that's a good question because I just analyzed the not P2O5, only the anion, just H3PO, H2PO4, H2PO3, H2PO4, just like that, anion, not P2O5.
What's the application rate of nitrogen?
Sorry?
Application rate of nitrogen. I see that the number of ammonium sulfate.
Oh, you mean, okay, I know what you mean.
The total net.
Okay, the chemical fertilizer, right? It's
2000. Yeah.
correct.
I see. I mean, does this, and also I see the rate. Does this have relations?
Right?
Yeah, these relations with combine together will affect.
Yeah, they come back together. As we mix the biochar in the soil, and then we use this chemical fertilizer into the soil.
So my question is, if we change the rate,
Okay.
does this have a relation with the result?
Okay. So
So I think he's asking, if you just reduce the fertilizer loading, maybe you get
a
you
different
won't
result.
overwhelm the system so much,
Yeah.
and you get more retention.
Okay. I can take note.
Probably this ammonium sulfate rate is too high, and so
You mean it's too high?
looks too high.
This 2 tons per hectare, that's
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
thing, not hectare.
400 kilograms.
Sure, but
of
this number's for everything, the whole molecule, not just N.
But that's the recommended rate for the rabbit in Taiwan. So we really use the very, very high nitrogen fertilizer. Thank you very much.
Just a final observation for me. So early on, you had a picture of rows of crop, and all the rows run down the contour. Why do people not plant them across the contour to stop the erosion?
You mean
A
the
photo at the beginning of the fields.
sorry?
Go back.
First line.
Right, so
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So here, these crops are all growing.
Yeah.
The channel walks are all
Yes. To
bad erosion
Yes.
factors.
Yes.
We
Change
change
this.
You should go across the road.
Okay.
It's easier.
Okay, right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.